Welcome, welcome, welcome to Hermetically Speaking with your vessel, Toria, transmitting alchemy, mystic psychology, and channeled messaging for all of our days. Here, we explore the sacred, the shadow, and the infinite spiral path of awakening so you can remember who you are beneath the programming and rebuild yourself from the inside out. And as always, go back to episode 1 for my disclaimers on mystic psychology and the fact that I am not a medical professional, and everything I speak on is through experience and an energetic standpoint rooted in the ancient wisdom of Hermeticism. Therefore, if you are seeking medical advice of any kind, please consult a licensed professional. Welcome back to Hermetically Speaking. I'm your vessel Toria, and this episode is one I've been feeling for a while. It's the alchemy of agony, pain, pleasure, and the euphoric thread that binds them. It's about pain, it's about pleasure, and it's about what happens when we stop seeing them as opposites and instead start to understand them as partners, as parallel waves, as messengers of sensation, frequency, and transformation. What if they're not separate at all? What if they share the same internal circuitry? And what if the real issue, the thing that actually creates suffering, isn't the sensation itself? It's our ego's obsession with chasing one and avoiding the other. This episode is for anyone walking the healing path. It's here to help open up your internal pathway to a wider circumference of healing, because healing asks us to acknowledge and process every emotion, every action born from emotion. Pain is the one we tend to run from the fastest. It's almost involuntary, unconscious. So in a time like this, when healing is not just important, it's essential. Befriending pain is pivotal. Doing so could mark the beginning of a whole new way of spiritual living. And with that, a whole new way of healing. So let's walk this episode together and discuss many parts of how pain and pleasure are partners in the spiritual realm. So let's start with what's happening in the body. Pain and pleasure actually travel the same neural pathways. They both activate dopamine, endorphins, and the same brain centers like the mesolimbic, the reward system, and the paraquadoctal gray. So on a biological level, they are not enemies. We, in our illusion, treat them as such. Instead, spiritually, they are siblings. Same circuitry, different triggers. We've been conditioned to label one as good and the other as bad, one to move toward and one to run like hell from. The body doesn't make those judgments, though. It just responds to intensity. So maybe, just maybe, we could learn to stop judging and just start listening. That, my friends, would require us to be on a new, higher, and aligned frequency. So let's invite that in to eradicate the belief system that has purged our internal systems for far too long and would only raise our abilities of tapping into new layers of consciousness, entering new realms of healing within and without. So both pain and pleasure move like waves. They might be different frequencies, still the same, and the same in motion. They rise, they crash, they eventually fall away. And in that rise, whether it's euphoria or anguish, we're jolted out of our baseline. We are stretched. Pleasure often feels gentle and oh so good. But is it? Or have we just gotten used to it? We welcome pleasure. We chase it even. We even try to stretch it longer than it's meant to actually last. And pain? Pain we resist. We contract. We fear it. However, both can tear us wide open. Both can overwhelm the system. Both leave a mark. The difference isn't the wave. It's how we perceive and respond to them. Both the pain and pleasure waves push us into feeling more than we think we can handle. And then we ride their highs until eventually they subside. Whether that high is a yes, 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 or no, no, no. They both produce the waves we allow to control us. Pleasure feels good, so we cling to it. We try to secure it, control it, bottle it up. We say yes to everything when we are high on life. We spend money, we overcommit, we overpromise. It's not because we're reckless. It's because we're trying to hold on. We're in a form of survival mode, not because we're in pain, but because we're afraid the pleasure will leave. And then we do something else. We try like hell to repeat it. We revisit the same place, the same person, the same playlist, hoping to recreate the same magic. But pleasure isn't in the ritual. It's in the presence. And when we try to repeat it instead of receive it, it turns into mimicry, a performance, control. That's egoic survival too. It just wears a prettier outfit. And still, the truth is, they both rip us open. Pleasure is intense. It floods the system. It dismantles the ego. We just don't flinch because we've been conditioned to want more. Pain and pleasure are equal in force. We just have different stories about them. And in those stories are characters that they share that need to be identified so we can stop losing control and get undertowed by either of the waves. So, what we feel but rarely name was recently revealed to me, and I am so ecstatic to introduce it to you. The main character that we're focusing on today within pain and pleasure is euphoria. Both pain and pleasure carry a euphoric frequency within them. And if you don't believe me, all you need to do is finish through this episode and sit with either occurrence in your next experience and ask it to show itself to you, or meditate it in your own way. So automatic journaling, actual stillness of meditation, whatever it may be. I promise you, it will reveal itself to you, and you will be able to dissect another layer of your very own psyche. In the deep of pain or pleasure, when the storm is fluid, there's a kind of clarity that hits. It's almost relief of being alive or becoming attached to the experience that's occurring. That, my friends, is euphoria. In the midst of it there, it just is. Euphoria standing there, strong and powerful, unidentified until now, absorbing our energy in exchange for its own. We get lost in it because we don't know how to work with it, and we become spellbound even. So what is euphoria, and how does it relate to pain and pleasure from its very own perspective? And after a powerful moment of intimacy or a big creative breakthrough, there's the stillness that captivates us and lingers long enough to hold our attention and gravitate us into the experience deeper. That's euphoria too. Euphoria happens in a split nanosecond and is clouded by the pain or the pleasure. It's hidden underneath the layers, only now to be identified. And euphoria, it's not always bliss. Sometimes it's release, sometimes it's surrender. However, it's movement, it's frequency. And yet we only let ourselves fully experience it when it comes from pleasure. When it comes from pain, we don't logically realize that it's even there. We don't even realize that we're feeding it when we do. Instead, we actually aim to block it out, and we fear what it might do, so we run. And in doing so, we miss the alchemy that it offers. Here's the thing most people don't realize. We're not actually addicted to pleasure. We're not even really attached to pain. What we're chasing or holding on to is the euphoria we felt inside those moments. It's that one flash, that rush, that split second where something opened and we felt more alive, more free, more like ourselves than we had in a long time, and more powerful. And we think it came from the thing we were experiencing, the relationship, the chaos, the high. So we try to go back to that source. We recreate the same scene, the same dynamic. We reach for the same person, the same trigger, the same celebration, because we think that's how we'll feel that experience again, or those emotions again. We recreate the same person in another person and the same triggers in those that surround us. This is one of the reasons we unconsciously repeat traumatic events, recreating them throughout our lifetimes, trapped in a euphoric atmosphere that we haven't yet hacked. Today, we're here to hack it. It was never really about the event or the person. It was about the frequency that moved through you in that moment and how it transformed you into a gravitational state that made you want to latch onto it and not let go. That's what you're trying to get back to. Whether it's the moment before the experience or the experience itself, it's euphoria that holds you hostage. When you slow down time and dissect your experience, you will find euphoria in each one of them. And it makes sense, right? We don't actually want the pain. We don't want the drama. We want to feel something real again. We want that hit of presence, that soul deep exhale that says, this is it. The indication of power coming to life, the feeling of being alive, that outside this earthly reality, we do not have. So what if we could feel that without needing to break ourselves to get there? What if euphoria isn't the aftershock of pain or pleasure? What if it's its own thing? It's a frequency, right? We've specified that. It's a moment of full presence. Because I know that I've achieved euphoria even in meditation, right? Full embodiment, full presence in that moment. And it's something that you can access without having to chase it. And just by being here, open and willing to feel fully. Because that's the truth. Euphoria isn't the reward for surviving something. It shows up when you're no longer bracing against what's already here. It's, in fact, a pure moment of release. So we have euphoria on one end of the spectrum, where it's in the pain that we haven't dissected, and it creates an attachment to the pain. But then we have euphoria in the processing of the pain, where we actually release it, and therefore we release the euphoria along with the pain, which allows us to transmute it, transform it, and move on from it. So how to identify when you are dragging euphoria into imbalance? Well, ask yourself, am I trying to keep the feeling alive? Or am I still in the feeling itself? Euphoria belongs to the moment it rises from. It doesn't need to last forever to be meaningful. However, it feels extremely powerful, so of course we don't want to let it go. However, it's meant to be released. And you'll know when you're trying to stretch it, when you keep celebrating long after the joy has passed, but something feels off, like over drinking or overspending. You start making decisions based on how to sustain the high instead of staying present, right? It's like drug addiction. Like we just keep getting high. We keep wanting to feel the euphoria. You ignore your inner signals because you're clinging to the afterglow. You feel agitated or even depressed when the high fades and try to recreate it quickly. You begin overlaying that euphoria onto situations it doesn't fit, like trying to keep joy alive in a conversation that no longer feels joyful, or forcing connection where presence is gone. All of these can also be fit into the shadow realm of pain. And to even call it the shadow realm of pain seems a little off. However, we'll save that rabbit hole for another day and we'll just keep riding this wave. So everything that I just listed can be applied to pleasure as well as pain. It is a mirror for both of them. And the body always knows. You'll feel it off-center, a little desperate, slightly performative, kind of soul-seeking, trying to reach outside of yourself. So how do we leave euphoria where it belongs? Well, we anchor the moment. Instead of stretching the euphoria across your day, pause and let it land. Say inwardly, "This was a beautiful experience. I felt it fully, and now I allow it to be complete within me." Let the moment be sacred because it passed, not in spite of it. There will be many more other unique experiences that will invite you in to feel, learn, and grow in new ways. Releasing each moment is honoring the moment in its own unique essence. Think about it like this. You or your ex trying to replace each other through another person. It's not possible. You are divinely unique. They are divinely unique. They or you have to let you, they, them, whatever, go so as not to repeat, as well as to honor the divine essence that was unique between you, and to honor the release, and to honor moving on to someone new, and to honor the newness and the new divine essence and experience that you'll have with someone new. Also, acknowledge the transition. When the wave starts to fall off, to shift, because it always does, gently name it. The energy is changing. I'm shifting into something new. This creates a bridge between states rather than dragging the last one across it. And thirdly, stay honest in the body. Ask yourself, am I trying to hold on to a feeling, or am I truly here in this next moment? The nervous system is always whispering the truth. If you feel tension, tightness, over-efforting, it's likely you're gripping. So instead of trying to drag euphoria forward, whether it be pain or pleasure, and a lot of times we don't realize how we do it in a pain perception, what if you trained your body to return to it when needed? Not by recreating the external moment or the initial moment, but by tuning into the internal signature, the breath, the openness, the clarity. I don't need to stretch this moment. I trust that feeling again is possible, and I trust myself to meet it when it naturally arrives. Words like this change everything. You move from chasing a state to embodying the capacity for it. It's the echo of euphoria. And it can ripple all around us if we're unaware of exactly how much it can affect our psyche and our lives and our mental and emotional stability. So how do we let it go and let it return, right? Let's take this deeper with something really important. Sometimes it's not the pain or the pleasure that we're holding on to. It's the euphoria that came with it. And we try to drag that feeling into the next moment, and into the next moment, and into the next moment, until we're completely thrown out of alignment. This is when euphoria has become an echo. And if we keep replaying it, we start making decisions that pull us out of presence and further into imbalance. Let's look at a few specific and repetitive occurrences in society of how we drag euphoria out, how we attempt to drag the pleasure out so as to not release it, and also pain, so we can release it without processing it, and how we may be unaware that we're actually drawing the pain out unconsciously and living in pain 24/7 and not even realizing it. However, still striving for pleasure. So in pleasure, let's say you have a night out with friends and it's amazing. You feel free, you feel seen, you feel alive. That's euphoria, or at least a euphoric moment. And instead of letting that moment be whole and complete, you try to stretch it out. You keep drinking after your body's done. You spend more money because the vibe's still high. You text someone you probably shouldn't because you don't want the energy to dip. And you wake up the next day feeling a little off, like you went too far. And you struggle to release the night. You want to repeat it again and again. And that's not because the pleasure was wrong. It's because the euphoria wasn't released when it was complete. And in pain, you have a breakdown. And in the middle of that pain, something inside you opens so wide and so volatile. You feel incredibly raw, real. And if you can really identify it, you're extremely close to spirit. That's euphoria too. It's powerful. It sucks you in. And instead of letting the moment settle, instead of allowing the pain to move through you and release, you revisit the painful story again and again. You call someone hoping they'll pull more feeling out. You talk about the person that has harmed you, and you want everyone to know it because you need to prove that they were wrong, and you need to hear how right you are. That's euphoria. You stay in a depressive spiral, not because the pain is active, but because the feeling made you feel awake, alive, and you don't want to lose it. You're not holding on to the pain. You're holding on to the euphoria that came through the pain. And that's okay, because it's completely human. And when we try to preserve euphoria, we accidentally distort it and misuse it and neglect it, and therefore neglect ourselves. So the way through, well, the key is awareness. And that's partially what I've brought you here today. It's to pause in the moment and ask, am I still in the truth of this feeling? Or am I holding on to what it gave me? When you name it, you reclaim your power. And you learn how to let the wave fall so it can rise again. So what happens when we don't let the wave complete? We know the answer. It loops. It becomes a loop. We become frozen in the loop. We keep circling the loop. Pleasure becomes obsession. Pain becomes chronic. we find ourselves stuck in behaviors that aren't about feeling. Instead, they're about avoiding the end of a feeling. And that goes for pleasure and pain. We react to the past, not respond to the present. We keep the high going with more dopamine hits. We bury the pain so deep we forget why we are disconnected. This is where dis-ease, addiction, burnout, numbness, all of it lives and takes root. Where overconsumption of social media, sugar, alcohol, disordered eating in general, overspending, overconsumerism, the list is literally endless. Every dis-ease, mentally, physically, emotionally, sexually, spiritually, feeds off of this type of frozen looping, of this type of avoidance and chasing. Not because we're broken, because we didn't know how to let the wave move all the way through. We didn't trust it. We didn't trust the fractal being the whole. And we didn't have the conscious awareness we do now, so no one is to blame for this oversight or this unknowing. Now is our time. Now it reveals itself to heal itself within each and every single one of us. And this expands our own capacity in understanding the waves and understanding the fractals. It expands our access into multidimensional realities. When we stay with the wave, not grip it, not run from it, we actually stay, something powerful happens. We expand. We grow our capacity to feel and to heal. And that increased capacity gives us access to deeper awareness, to multidimensional perception. Pain metabolized becomes true divine power. Pleasure honored becomes true divine presence. And that expansion doesn't just make us more spiritual, it makes us more available to life, to love, to source, to consciousness, to creating, to our dharma, our innate being, our fulfillment. This is how we begin to move from polarity to non-duality, by riding the waves, not fearing them. And all of this takes practice and open-mindedness, willingness, and the ability to remain teachable. So how can we further integrate this knowledge? How can we let the wave move through us? What now? How can we move from awareness into actionable healing? How can we embody this intelligent life form of euphoria and pain and pleasure within us? We stop labeling pain as punishment and view it through a lens of learning, a lens of alchemy, a lens of powerful magic within the psyche. We stop treating pleasure like a prize to hoard and like we'll never see it again or fear losing it to begin with. We let ourselves feel without control. We breathe through the edges. We stay long enough to receive the message each wave brings, because the more we trust what arises, the more it trusts us back. And that's where healing begins. Not in control, in capacity. Not in chasing, in presence. So real quick, before we close this episode out, we're just going to do a mini integration meditation titled The Wave of Presence. And there will be a longer version of this that comes out the Friday following the release of this episode on the Hermetically Speaking YouTube channel. So feel free to hop over and subscribe to it for all of the alerts on anything energy-wise that I put out. And remember, when it comes to these meditations, all you need to do is be listening. You don't need to be doing anything fancy. You don't even need to do the exact direction that is occurring, because in the moment, your higher self knows what to do. Meditation is a state of being. It's not a position or a form or a direction even, or at least a direction from outside of you. It is who you are, how you are in the moment. And that's all that you need to do and be. So if you can, and if you're willing, take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Let your body land. Let the day and the moments catch up with you. Now feel into your day. Or maybe get into this very moment. And take notice. Are you in a wave of pleasure? I know I am in recording this episode. It's such a blessing. It feels euphoric. Are you in a ripple of pain? Ooh, I have some that too that still needs released. Or are you somewhere in between? There is no right or wrong answer. Everything is just for you to find healing and integration in this moment the way it best serves you now. No need to fix, name, or judge. Just feel yourself internally. And now tune just a little deeper. See if you can sense the frequency beneath whatever it is you're feeling. The current within the current. That moment where you feel stillness, openness, presence. That's euphoria. It may not be loud. It may not be obvious, but it's there. In the breath, in the layers, in the honesty of now. And you don't have to hold it. You don't have to stretch it or recreate it. You don't have to fear its removal. You can just say, I see you. I understand you better now. And I feel you. And I honor you. And I let you return when the time is right. Take one more deep breath in and let it fill you with presence. And exhale, letting any echo of grasping go. Feel your feet, your body, the space, the room that you're in. You are here. You are whole. And the wave has moved through. And remember, a longer version of this meditation will be available on Friday for those who want to go deeper into the wave, into the body, into the release, and into the alchemy. Until then, ride gently, my friends. Thank you for walking this wave with me. Pain and pleasure aren't enemies. They are co-activators. Each has something powerful to say. Each wants to move you, shape you, and teach you something about who you really are. When you stop resisting them, you stop suffering. And when you stop suffering, you start becoming, remembering. This has been another successful episode of Hermetically Speaking. I'm Toria, and it's a blessing to be a conduit on this journey. I'll meet you again where the frequency flows, the code reveals, and the wave finishes its sacred cycle. If this episode spoke to your soul, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Not only does this support the podcast, it lets me know how I can continue to be of service as we walk this healing path together, as well as spreading the love and healing further. Your presence, your listening, your evolution, they ripple out farther than you know. Thank you for being here. Thank you for becoming who you are. Until next time, keep speaking the truth your soul remembers. Namaste and many blessings on your way. If you are looking for more ways to connect, please check out the Hermetically Speaking YouTube channel for all the free meditations, energy sessions, hypnosis regression, and other avenues of healing, or the hermeticallyspeaking.com website for one-on-one by donation services.